Hi, everyone. This is Real Housewives of New Jersey, season 13, episode 14. Next week is finally the last episode. So, this episode, we didn't really see a lot from Melissa and Joe. So, we were spared a little bit. But we did see kind of this explosion between with Louis and Teresa, and Louis is just over the top angry. Um, Seems to be, really uncontrollable. And because they have sent a text message inviting them to the the um the rehearsal dinner, and the rehearsal dinner is being held at Dolores's house. And there's this huge blow up. No, wait. No, 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 no. The rehearsal dinner is not being held at Dolores' house. They're having a rehearsal dinner, but the next episode is the party that Dolores is hosting, that it feels as if it's going to be this big blow up. Seems like everybody's going to be fighting next episode, so that's really tragic. Um, they text them to be. They're planning this wedding. Teresa and Louis is doing all the nuts and bolts of planning this wedding. And I think a lot of this, again, is because her first wedding, she didn't have much money. The second wedding, she has quite a bit. And so when you have a lot more money, you're probably going to splurge a lot more on this wedding. I personally do not like Louis. I think that Louis is suspicious in his behavior. He's always been a little suspicious over since we've met him. However, um, even if you do not agree with this marriage, I still think that you should consider. Uh, you may not agree with the marriage, but you still should be considering being supportive of your sister. And I've been hearing even more. Well, they weren't invited in the wedding. Okay, they were. So let's stop saying this narrative. They chose not to because they wanted to be invited at a certain timeline. And this whole season has been Teresa's been dissing me. Teresa goes and picks it or asks them or oblige them. At this point, there's nothing that can be done on either side. I mean, period. Louis does this whole, you know, really over the top, which I think he takes it a little too over the top by saying how they're toxic. Okay, I don't know. Um, Teresa still blames Melissa for Joe. I don't think so. I think that Teresa has to come to grips with the fact that Joe is a man. Yes, your wife does have influence. I guess a wife has influence over the their husband, but at the same token, not to the extent that you're trying to push. So I'm not buying it. Louis' family is absolutely a lot more positive than her family for sure. So Louis has this huge blow up about, and it was really uncomfortable. And Teresa's just sitting there. I don't know. He's talking about he's going to keep them away from you. And it really feeds into this narrative that Joe is right for calling out. Joe is right for calling out Louis for some of his issues. Anyway, we do have Marge and Jen, and they're with their parents. Jennifer's parents are adorable. They're twins. And they had showed even a little picture of her as a baby. She's so freaking adorable. Um, anyway, Dolores has dinner with Frankie and Polly. It's such a stereotype. Anyway, Frank wants to keep this dynamic even as their families grow bigger, this dynamic that everybody's included. Everyone likes Frankie's girlfriend, and they're inviting people to be in the wedding. You're gonna be my groomsman. I'd be honored. And they're just like, can we get you to propose to her, please? And then Polly's already ready to propose to Dolores. It's a matter of when he has a ring. Frank, Joe, and Melissa are getting ready for this party at Dolores' house, and Joe calls Frankie, and Frankie's like, yeah, we all had dinner. You gonna come to the party? Yeah, I'm gonna be there. Polly's house. We all had dinner. He's ready to propose. How do you feel about that? I don't know how to feel about that. Sir, that's not what you said the night before. I hate when people do this behind closed doors. You say one thing, but in front of them, you say another. So annoying. Danielle is with her mom. Her mom is so adorable. And Danielle has this bougie kids that's in the basement. And she only has an online store. Clearly is not doing as well because she's like, everyone doesn't get to see how adorable the clothes are. I'm curious what the price point is. Anyway, she's like, she really needs to have her own store. I am wondering, are you doing it like a photo shoot kind of clothes? Like, how are you posing these clothes? Maybe we should take a look. Bougie Kids. Boutique. Uh-huh. Okay, so let's take a look at this together. Okay, so we see Bougie Kids. Adorable. Simply adorable. Let's see. Oh, it even goes up to tween. Okay, so the glasses. Oh, I'd have to see this in person. Because even though $20 is not expensive, but I'm not sure if I wouldn't pay $20 because that looks like it's $10. But anyway, you have the hat. Hat's cute. I don't know who's wearing that. The purse. Oh, okay. So you have Let's see how much. It appears that it's not too pricey. It really isn't. Oh, so her birthday outfit is high because it was on the show. And that seems outrageously priced higher than the rest of this stuff. This stuff is like $20. Let's see what the swimwear is. Oh, the swimwear is like this is really cheap, to be honest. Um, it's really affordable, so that's really kind of cool. They even have $20 or less. What's less? I wonder if they have the license to do that. Because for $15, I don't think that they have a license to do that. Anywho, okay. So I don't know if she can afford a store with these prices. I mean, it's affordable for sure. So I'm not even going to dispute that. It's very, very affordable. Okay. They're doing inventory. The mom talks about the son. I think she at least should have an office somewhere. And it doesn't cost much. Anyway, have it in your basement, put it on television. I don't know. That's not a good look. Okay, so mom talks about the son. I don't get what's going on. The son's cut both the mom and her off. He only talks to their dad. I don't get it. A lot of us still don't get it. And I don't think you should be having this as a storyline if we're not going to get multiple sides of the picture. And I know that somewhere deep inside of me, I'm supposed to be feeling sorry about this, but somehow I'm not. Anyway, um, Jennifer, the other Jennifer, is her brother's back in town and back from I think what, Turkey? Whatever. And she puts them a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I don't understand why they needed to cover their eyes before they saw it, but I will say that the view is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Um, this conversation with the brother, he seems to be a little bit on her side, but not much. He really sides with Bill. And I'm like, I don't know if you anticipated that to be the conversation piece. Did you think that he was gonna side with you? I mean, you would hope that your brother would side with you, but it's kind of clear that he's not siding with you because he thinks the same way. Jennifer, you want Bill to be more involved with the household and taking care of the kids and um, being around you. I want you to realize that you are a housewife and you want help being a housewife. No shade about this, but you don't have babies. So they go to school. What do you do? I mean, you can clean, run errands. It's not much because you don't have a business outside of the house. You're not doing anything from the home except taping this reality show. And all you're having is to complain about having food and stuff and taking care of helping the homework. Um, you made the decision to be this housewife. Maybe you want more, and that's fine. You say you want more, but I don't know what more you want. Because at this point, you want to be a housewife, and then you also parade around all the stuff he buys you. And, and how he takes care of you. I don't get you. It's because I'm not a housewife. But I do know that when I stayed home, especially during the pandemic, but even when I wasn't during the pandemic and sometimes like summers and stuff, or in the winter, I stay home more. I definitely am the, you know, I do think that I would request more sharing of responsibility, but I'm the one that works more outside the house. I don't get it. I don't get it, Jen. Maybe you need a hobby. Maybe that's it. Get a hobby. You don't have to get a job, but you could get a hobby besides this show. So a hobby like go to the gym, do do jewelry, knit something. I don't know. Rachel scene annoyed me. I think Jaden is adorable. Um, I think, and I wrote down this is ass backwards because you want to talk to him about adopting him after you started the process of adopting him. I think the process that we need to see is you should have talked to him before and been like, how are you okay with all of this? What if your mom contacts you? What should you say? All of this should have happened before you started the process. It's good that he wants it. I hated when she said the framing of this is a problem when she said, no, I don't want him. Like when she's saying that the mom has a choice to say, no, I don't want him. Ma'am, ma'am. Even how she was kicked out of his life was the story of how she was kicked out of his life was a problem for me. I know in y'all's world, this sounds like a really great idea, but it was, he had to do what he had to do. So he took his son because he couldn't get along with her. So he took his son. Okay. In your world, that sounds like a really great idea. In my world, that does not. Um, because it does not mean that she didn't want to be involved in her son's life. And I'm not making excuses for her. She absolutely could have been more forward or more involved. I get all of that. But it did not appear, I think there's more to this story in the sense that I want more understanding of who he is because he doesn't sound like a guy that's easy to get along with. And mom probably just was like, I had to step back. I would have liked to know more about her and her side because I don't think he gave her space to be involved. I don't think she had an option to be involved. The way that he sounds, the way they turn it, the way they explain the story, it wasn't like, oh, she started visiting, oh, she had a drug problem, oh, she had mental illness, oh, she got married to somebody else, oh, like none of these things are taking place. It was like they couldn't get along, so he took the son. That's not suffice. And then it definitely was like, well, she didn't fight to continue to be in her life. There's a reason. Um, but overall, Jaden is adorable. It's great that he wants them to adopt. I just think that the way they presented this on the show was extremely selfish. Rachel sounds extremely self-centered, and it did not come off well. My last couple of thoughts is that we really have grown to think of the housewives as not just housewives, and I'm saying this about Jen. And so usually we have kind of grown adjusted to housewives not being housewives, a lot of them may not even be married. On this show, most of the housewives are married, but there's other shows that most of the housewives are not married, so they have to work. But Jen is the quintessential example, and Dolores, right? Because Dolores, what job does Dolores have? I don't know what, I don't ever hear about Dolores promoting something, doing something. Anyway, where they don't, where they have a man taking care of them. I mean, they're quintessential men taking care of them. And so having somebody complain about this is kind of like, well, what we're looking at it from, you need to do more. Oh, and when technically we really shouldn't, because the show is about housewives, and most of these other housewives have a side hustle. She's the only one that doesn't. Only a few of them don't. I don't think Dolores has a hustle. And her kids are adults. The party at Dolores' house looks awesome. It also looks like it's going to be torn apart next episode. It's refreshing to not have a whole episode talking about. Well, I mean, the wedding was something that was talked about, but it's refreshing to have a whole episode that really doesn't have that really didn't say do much. And the wedding was not the only topic of conversation, because a lot of these episodes have been so wedding focused that it's just exhausting. So next episode, we're going to get everyone fighting. Finally, Teresa has had it up to, her eyeballs in with Melissa. Danielle's going to be telling Melissa the rumors that are going on around her. Margaret's jumping in, which I think is kind of strange that Margaret's jumping in. But to each his own. And then we have the reunion that everybody's talking about. I'm hearing that this reunion is horrible. And I figured it was, like, from day one, I was like, this is not going to be a good reunion. I think this reunion is going to be cringe. But anyway, I think I kept it nice and short and sweet because not really much happened this episode. Bye.